We're just getting started. Sorry for being a couple minutes late. Mayor Daggett is running a little bit late, and so we will have her speak at the end instead of at the beginning. But good morning, everyone. I'm Sandy Barr. I'm the director for Sierra Club's Green Canyon chapter, which is the Arizona chapter. And so happy to be here today in the park in beautiful Flagstaff, Arizona. Not so happy about what's going on right now. We're here today to talk about Trump's first 100 days in office. The 100th day was yesterday. And these 100 days have been some of the most harmful 100 days of any administration in recent history. For climate, for clean energy, for public health, and for our communities. It really is a polluter's agenda where oil, gas, and coal companies win and we all lose. It's been marked by indiscriminate cuts and firings and fast-tracking projects that will destroy sacred lands and cut the public out of the decision-making process. Nowhere does or will that agenda have more profound impacts than on vulnerable communities. Communities that are vulnerable to the impacts of drought and fire, like Flagstaff, Native communities who are once again being shortchanged relative to clean energy and other investments, as well Daggett. Mayor Daggett is the decisive problem solver who's skilled at building consensus and cultivating trust and respect. She has an awareness that real change requires contrasting perspectives at the table. She's an effective and competent leader who actively invites all voices and ideas into municipal decision-making. A long-standing community advocate, Mayor Daggett brings her signature drive and strategic approach to address Flagstaff's most pressing issues. Her advocacy combines thorough research with the expertise of trusted colleagues. Regardless of the issue, she skillfully balances competing interests and prioritizes doing what she believes is right, even when it's not the easiest path. Also with us today, we have Jamasita Peshlikai. Jamasita is a citizen of the Navajo Nation. She was born and raised in Coconino County. She's the descendant of indigenous leaders from the Navajo, Hopi, and Chiricahua people. Jamasita joined the U.S. Army in 1989 and served in Operation Desert Storm during the Persian Gulf War. As a veterans advocate, she successfully spearheaded an initiative to create an independent Veterans Affairs Agency for the Navajo Nation, and she was awarded the Copper Star Award by the United Arizona Veterans of Arizona for her efforts. Jamasita worked in education, social service, and agriculture jobs before she ran and won a seat in the Arizona House of Representatives in 2013, and she went to represent her legislative district as a state senator in 2017. She was the first Native American woman to serve as a state senator in Arizona and the first woman senator to serve in caucus leadership as a whip. And she also chaired the Indigenous Peoples Caucus and served as vice chair on the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Girl Scouts Study Committee Task Force in 2019. Our next speaker will be Stephen Sommer. He's a founding board member and speaker for the Northern Arizona Climate Change Alliance, founding board member and speaker for Northern Arizona University's Sustainable Ambassadors Program, affiliate in NAU's Department of Biological Sciences and Center for Adaptable Western Landscapes, with expertise in community ecology, sustainability, climate change, and education outreach. He writes for the Arizona Daily Sun as an author and editor of the column Spotlight on Climate, and served as executive producer of 4 award-winning PBS documentaries on biodiversity and habitat conservation. And then last but not least, we have Carly Barnes. Carly is a student at NAU studying communications and community engagement. She hopes to use her education to advocate for the environment. She's influenced by the natural beauty of the planet and personal concerns about the sustainability of its resources. She hopes her communication skills will inspire people to form the same relationship with the earth. And with that, I will turn this over to Mary Daggett.
Good morning. Today I want to talk about one topic and 2 Trump administration actions that put our community at risk. The topic is catastrophic wildland fire, and the actions are the termination of the City of Flagstaff's Environmental Protection Agency grant, and the other is reduction in staff of the Coconino National Forest. The EPA notified the City of Flagstaff on March 21st that the Flagstaff Regional Resilience Project grant agreement had been terminated. The EPA said that the award no longer meets the program goals or agency priorities. We've appealed the decision, and the EPA has until November to review. This action puts Flagstaff and all of northern Arizona at risk. A big part of our catastrophic wildland fire preparedness involves helping residents be ready in case of a major fire. The City of Flagstaff and our partners started to create 3 local resilience hubs on May 1st, 2024. These hubs are community-centered spaces designed to enhance emergency preparedness, providing cooling and heating relief, and serve as trusted locations for residents to access resources before, during, and after all hazards events, including wildfire, post-fire flooding, and poor air quality. Within the first year, the city had successfully spent approximately 40% of total grant funds, and each hub has been hosting approximately 3 workshops per week and distributing emergency response kits. The termination of this grant resulted in the immediate suspension of funding for 4 jobs in Flagstaff and community resources such as the distribution of emergency response kits. The 3 pilot resilience hubs, which provided critical services to the community, operated at the Murdoch Community Center, the Market of Dreams, and the Community Assistance Teams of Flagstaff Mobile Hub. Resilience hubs are critical for community health, safety, and emergency preparedness. The importance of our Resilience Hub community partners can't be overstated. Community preparedness, especially for those most vulnerable due to age, disability, or income level, requires community trust, something that our partners have spent years cultivating and were willing to work with us on strengthening in these neighborhoods. The loss of the remainder of this grant leaves much work undone. We had planned construction to enhance emergency preparedness and resilience, including a backup power system, clean air systems, and cooling upgrades at the Murdoch Center, and installation of a backup power system to support emergency operations during outages at the Market of Dreams. We're losing staff for hosting community preparedness events, for the creation and distribution of emergency preparedness materials, love Flagstaff's wind, and do-it-yourself clean air filter kits. Flagstaff is surrounded by the largest ponderosa pine forest in the world, making us ground zero in the fight to maintain federal investment in our forests. The federal firefighters on the Coconino National Forest have been working hard to implement hundreds of acres of impactful prescribed fire this spring. This in spite of intense federal uncertainty. The City of Flagstaff has a strong partner in these dedicated public servants, and we're grateful for their partnership and hard work. The previously fired Coconino National Forest staff had to be rehired, but their ability to have the certainty and funding they need to help protect northern Arizona communities continues to cause us deep concern. As far as I've been able to ascertain, the Coconino National Forest lost 15 to 20% of staff who took the early retirement or deferred resignation offers. This impacts all forms of land management, including wildfire response, patrol, timber thinning prep, and recreation. Although primary fire staff weren't fired or eligible for the retirement or resignation packages, wildfire response is still clearly impacted. Federal uncertainty sends negative signals to all partners who have invested in forest health, watershed protection, and catastrophic wildland preparedness. Our public safety requires continued investment and the certainty that each partner in this effort is going to have the staff and the funding to hold up their end of the bargain. The reckless and thoughtless actions of the Trump administration have put Flagstaff and all of northern Arizona at additional risk of catastrophic wildland fire. Our communities deserve a steadfast president who has our backs, and right now it feels like we're on our own. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jamesita May Peshukai. I am Navajo, a member of the Navajo Nation. My clans are Tangle People Clan, born for the Tobacco Red House Clan. Paternal grandfathers are Cliff Dweller Clan, and maternal grandfathers are Deerwater Clan. I am the mother of a daughter named Jamie. When Jamie was 5 years old, she used to sleep next to me. And one night, after I thought she'd fallen asleep, I heard her crying. And of course, I woke up and I asked her what was wrong. And she said, "Mom, I'm really worried about the jellyfish in the ocean." And I realized then that I had raised somebody with an old soul. And she went on to volunteer with the Sierra Club, making postcards and writing to President Obama. Years old, we did a video and sent it to our leaders at the White House, at the governor's office, and the legislature here in Arizona. Out of the 91 people we sent the 6-minute videos to, only one person responded. And over the course of 2 years waiting to get her to testify in committee at the Natural Resources Committee at the Arizona legislature, the first year they completely left her off the agenda, and we waited in the hallway there for no reason. And then the second year she did get heard. But fast forward 15 years later, we're in more of a crisis than when my baby was 5 years old. She is now 24, and we are still in the same place, if not in a worse place. Yesterday marked the 100 days of Donald Trump, and all the progress that we thought we had made over the past 25 years is out the window. And our long-term and our short-term planning is, everything is in danger, but our long-term consequences are going to be catastrophic. And that goes especially for my people, who are the indigenous people of these lands, and because we are directly affected each and every day. You know, a lot of people think we don't live in the real world because we're not part of the modern society in a lot of cases. But I'm here to tell you that all those folks that are attached to turning on the light at the flip of a switch, connected to their technology, the real world is air, water, food security, and being able to walk outside without chemical equipment on. That is the real world, and that's what we need to save for all future generations. The Trump administration is endangering sacred sites and sacred lands of indigenous people. He wants to take back public lands, which are for all Americans far into the future. He wants to start mining, taking resources, and he's even doing that overseas now with the rare earth mineral agreement that he's forcing the Ukraine to do. He's not just a danger to this country, but to the entire world. As indigenous people, my people's teaching and what I teach my kids is that we are, as human beings, first of all, we are part of the natural world. We are probably the lead animal right now in destroying this earth. And so with that being said, Trump is also endangering our country by trying to sell citizenship visas, call his gold visa, to the highest millionaires and billionaires across the world. And as an indigenous Native American, that my land has been taken from us, and we live like prisoners of war in our own sacred homeland. I know that bringing in billionaires and millionaires from other places is going to continue to exploit the natural world, our own people, and I mean every American and U.S. citizen. And also, we need to protect the air, the water, the land, and all resources and natural places for future generations. I was working until recently for the Department of Interior as a tribal liaison, and I was working with tribes regarding the environment and the Grand Canyon, and I was forced to resign. And my paycheck does not help my small community. It does not help families on the reservation. A lot of the jobs on the reservation are federal jobs, BIA schools, hospitals, and all the money that is left out of my pocket doesn't benefit the people that are selling food at the flea market, because that's where I eat, and then also I can't buy locally, and so many people are impacted in that way. So my daughter's now 25 years old, and she would be here, but she works the night shift here in Flagstaff. I'm not going to say which large facility she works at, but I'm sure everybody knows. But she is working day and night, 24 hours a day almost, with her job and other side gigs like DoorDash, just to make rent for her apartment and feed her cats. And so that's the economy that will be impacted. And if she loses her job, her apartment is going to go. She's going to move back to the reservation, and that goes for all other people. It's scary to wake up every day. It's scary to go to sleep every night anticipating the next day. And the only thing that I support for the knuckleheads in the White House and those that are trying to race to Mars and outer space is that I would help buy them their one-way ticket off this planet and Mother Earth, because that's the solution and what we need for now. So thank you very much, Shahad.
Hello, everybody. Thank you, Sandy. Is that? Yeah, sounds better. My name is Stefan Sommer. I'm a recently retired professor from the Northern Arizona University, and I am a board member with the Northern Arizona Climate Change Alliance. We are very concerned about climate change, and so as a scientist and as a professor, I kept up with all the data on how the climate is changing and the impact that it's having on ecology and ecosystems around the planet. So climate change now is accelerating, and the current administration thinks it's a hoax. Back in 2018, we scientists were projecting that the Earth would reach 1.5 degrees centigrade above normal sometime in 2040. Global emissions have kept on increasing exponentially. Now we are projected to reach 1.5 degrees centigrade warming sometime in 2028. Climate extremes are now costing the U.S. over $300 billion every year in climate damages through wildfires, hurricanes, droughts, flooding, and we've experienced many of those things here in Flagstaff. Fire scars and extreme monsoon downpours caused flooding that floated cars down Flagstaff streets. Individual homeowners saw flood repair costs in the tens of thousands of dollars. Individual homeowners saw flood repair costs. Most insurance policies did not cover flood damage. As temperatures continue to rise, many Flagstaff homeowners are installing their first ever cooling systems. An additional cost, not only in terms of installation, but ongoing costs of operation. Globally, climate change extremes are causing $163 billion in crop losses every year. We pay the price when we go to the grocery store. The cost of climate damages are projected to reach $36 trillion per year when we reach 1.5 degrees centigrade warming. In 2024, the global GDP, gross domestic product, was $110 trillion. We cannot afford to spend 1/3 of our entire global GDP on climate disasters. We need Washington to wake up. The edict of Washington to boost dirty coal goes against our economy, our health, and our environment. Solar power and wind power are the least expensive and cleanest ways to generate electricity. The 62-year-old coal Cholla generating station has already had 2 of its generators decommissioned, and the remaining 2 are scheduled to be shut down this year. The Washington edict to resurrect this worn-out facility is micromanagement at its worst. Coal is no longer cost competitive. Why spend millions on this dirty old technology when people want clean electricity? We currently have over 1,500 megawatts of clean and inexpensive solar and wind power plants in northern Arizona to make up for the measly 425 megawatts that the Cholla plant can barely produce. Even APS doesn't want the Cholla generating station. Arizona has an overabundance of wind and solar resources. We should be building a strong economy on that abundance. People want clean electricity, and we should be providing it. Arizona should be an exporter of our clean energy abundance. This will help our nation gain energy independence, where dinosaur technology will not. As climate change dries out our forests, the risks of wildfire, as mentioned by several of the speakers tonight, is heading through the roof. A recent report from NAU's Economic Policy Institute put the costs of catastrophic wildfire in Flagstaff, little old Flagstaff, at over $2 billion. There's no way that fits into the Flagstaff budget. Insurance companies are getting nervous and readjusting their actuarial tables. Many homeowners in Flagstaff have seen their insurance costs go up. This past fall, my neighbor in the University Heights neighborhood had his insurance costs doubled. And in March, his policy was canceled entirely. So this has happened in other locations in the nation. The more extreme and more frequent climate disasters are driving insurance companies out of business. Extreme wildfires in Southern California have caused insurance companies to increase rates, cancel policies, and some have completely closed up shop. Extreme and frequent hurricanes in Florida caused insurance companies to increase rates, cancel policies, and some have completely closed up shop. Policies that ignore climate change, insurance costs, housing costs, food costs, human health issues, and ignore our needs for a clean and healthy environment are simply not sustainable. Our country deserves better. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for being here today to listen to our concerns about Donald Trump's first 100 days in office. And thank you to the previous speakers for setting the scene as to what the narrative of ignoring climate change looks like for a young person like me. As a young adult, I am concerned about not only how the administration's harmful actions will develop in the coming years, but how those actions will impact my future, the future of my peers, and the future of generations yet to come. Rolling back protections will reduce the effectiveness of actions focused on confronting climate change, air pollution, water protections, and public land access, instead of helping our local communities better prepare and be more resilient to face climate change that is affecting us now. A reduction in environmental protections and concerns by the administration will directly affect my community here in Flagstaff by decreasing protections to aid in managing yearly fire concerns and regulating water quality. Yesterday, March 29, 2025, marked Donald Trump's 100th day in office, and in only 100 days, the administration has begun to unilaterally undo decades of safeguards that protect our air, water, and community health. Donald Trump has continuously tried to stop transitions to clean energy sources. The president has lawlessly canceled billions in federal investments dedicated to help communities prepare for extreme weather crises, reduce pollution, create jobs, lower overall welfare costs, and to slash climate pollution in half by 2030. Well, 2030 is only 5 years away, and Donald Trump is dedicated to serving for at least 4 more. I am extremely concerned for planet Earth, as the harm done in 100 days could be detrimental to our planet's health for 100 years. If we do not demand the administration to listen, young people will disproportionately bear the impacts and challenges associated with ignoring a rapidly changing climate. The administration's proposal to cut the Environmental Protections Agency funding by 65% will yield detrimental effects on climate, public health, community well-being, and economic stability, not only in the United States, but worldwide. The EPA is designated to protect our air, land, and water, and our capacity to protect our children and communities from the devastating impacts of climate change. So stand with me, the generation that will face the repercussions of inaction, to confront the administration about how disregard to public and environmental health and recent policy changes will impose on the access to clean air, land, and water for every American that the EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, and our president, Donald Trump, promised earlier this year. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much to our great speakers today. That concludes our news conference, and we're happy to take questions, or if you want to talk to people individually, we can do that as well. Sounds like maybe individually. So very good. I know it's better, but anyway, thanks again, and thanks to all the people who are resisting the Trump agenda, from the Resistance Rangers to the Youth Climate Coalition to activists and advocates throughout the country and around the world, frankly, for pushing back, especially at a time when due process has gone out the window and people are being summarily deported. I think it is an act of courage and of resistance to continue to speak up. So I just want to thank all those folks who are doing that and showing that courage. Thank you.
smiling or mad? Okay, we'll do a smile. Start with a smile. Okay, yeah, now hand like this up and maybe strong. Nice. You want any more? People are probably not interested in the